Premiership season is proudly brought to you by 4 and 20, the great Australian taste. BP, on the move. CUB, one of the world's great brewers. Westpac, you can bank on Westpac. And McEwen's, you can do it with McEwen's.
Collingwood and Essendon, between them, have won 27 premierships, but this is their first grand final battle in 80 years. Under Kevin Sheedy, the Bombers won 2 premierships in the 80s. Their 1985 team is one of the greatest. Collingwood's misfortune in grand finals is a part of football folklore. The brave runs of Gabalik and Manasseh have in the end accounted for nothing. 8 of the 20 men who play for the Bombers have experienced the sensation that comes with winning on this day. Not a single Collingwood player was born when the Magpies last won in 1958. This is football's most celebrated day, when one team triumphs, and today more than ever, it is an emotional occasion. Collingwood and Essendon, the 1990 Grand Final. Good afternoon and welcome to the Melbourne Cricket Ground for the 1990 AFL Grand Final, Collingwood versus Essendon. Almost 100,000 people in at the cricket ground today, and through 7 Sport, a worldwide television audience estimated at around 70 million. And it's ironic in this year of the very first AFL Grand Final that 2 clubs who have been at the heart and soul of Victorian football have earned the right to play for the Premiership. Collingwood is one of the most famous sporting clubs in Australia. Their fans are fanatical. 12,000 turned up at training on Thursday night, and for many of them today is the most important afternoon of their lives. And the reward for the players this afternoon is a place in heaven if they can win, with those adoring fans. But this grand final is no one-way street, because Essendon also enjoys huge support. And look at the incentives for the Bombers. If they win today, they'll match their achievement of winning the very first VFL Premiership way back in 1897. They'll equal Carlton's record of 15 flags, and they will deny Collingwood a victory yet again. And maybe for the Essendon players, that's just the spur they want this afternoon. So on this very pleasant spring day in Melbourne, for this towering match, it is a perfect stage, and we really should see something special. Wayne Grady, the Australian golfer, produced something special earlier this year when he became the 3rd Australian to win the US PGA Championship. He is a special guest of the AFL today, and Wayne is going to enjoy his very first Australian Rules Grand Final. He's a sports nut, and he's looking forward to it. There's a wonderful atmosphere in here today, as you'd expect on Grand Final day. There's a great shot from the Channel 7 helicopter, a tremendous scene with this ground almost jam-packed, and it really is a great sight. Well, 2 men who've been here today, in fact they've experienced the bitterness of losing grand finals, are Peter McKenna, who was with Collingwood in 1970, and Ross Glendinning, who was with North Melbourne in 1978. Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon, Ross. I'd love to know what goes through a player's mind half an hour before a big match.
Well, I think players are obviously very nervous, Peter and Bruce. It's one of those things where you're just itching to get out on the ground and get your first touch of the leather. And just get out on the ground, go through the banner, get warmed up. You just want the game to start, Peter, don't you?
I'd echo those sentiments too. It's a very nerve-wracking time, particularly that half an hour before the game. You lace up your boots and you get a rub down, but all you want to do is just get out there and tear into the fray.
Let's have a look at the teams. First question, will Richardson play for Collingwood?
Well, apparently he does under very much for the cloud, and we look at that full back line. I mean, really their back line has been the cornerstone of this side all year, and Christian with a big task on Salmon if he lines up there, and Michael Gayfer, of course, a very fine tagging defender.
Coach Kevin Sheedy can slot Alan Izard into numerous positions because of his pace, natural spring and tremendous goal sense. His finals experience will again be called upon.
And Alan Izard, of course, has been a fine goal kicker for the Essendon Football Club, but he also has played better football, I think, as a tagging rover, and he could very much have that role today on Tony Francis. And Sam, as I mentioned, big task him up forward, and Kieran Spawn comes in. He's not played a lot of football this season, but he's a very good player, and I like him there on that full forward line.
Well, the game could be won or lost here. Essendon's half-forward line hasn't been in great form in recent weeks, but there's a lot of talent there. Mark Harvey, a courageous player. Van der Haar, courageous. Some talk that he may not even line up. Peter Kransberg has been a great player since coming across from Western Australia. But look at that half-back line, very strong and tough. Morwood, Kelly and Francisca, three very tight, hard-hitting players.
A winning centre line can dominate a game, and the Pies boast a ripper. One of those midfielders is Graham Wright, a gutsy performer who missed this year's coveted Brownlow medal by a solitary vote.
Yes, and hasn't Graham Wright had a fine season? He forms a fantastic centre line there with Tony Shaw and Darren Mullane, three very, very good players, and they front three other fine players as well from Essendon. Anderson kicking along. A better duel across the centre line you would not see in any other football game.
Dennis Banks, at 29, is one of the Collingwood veterans. Injuries have denied the rugged utility of many games, but he's back in action and can be used at either end of the ground.
Well, Dennis Banks has been a surprise packet this year. He's had a terrific year, and James Manson, an ugly kicker, of course, but a real contested. Barwick, a great kick of a football. Essendon half-back line, very good. Grenville, Terry Danaher, great experience, and O'Donnell, who will obviously have the job on Dacos. A big task again for Gary O'Donnell.
And the forwards, they're the dangerous trio, but more so the duo of Dacos and Brown. Dacos, as Peter mentioned, likely to be picked up by O'Donnell, and Brown had trouble, or gave trouble to Anthony Danaher. Terry Danaher picked him up in the latter half of their previous encounter. Did not such a bad job, but a big task there for the Essendon full-back line.
Simon Madden is a living legend at Windy Hill. His brilliant ruck display last week silenced many critics, and with back-to-back flags in 84 and 85, would love to add another.
Well, I'll be surprised if Bronkhorst lines up there. I think that the big fella Manson will line up against Madden. Madden will ruck, and I wouldn't be surprised if he interchanges with Somerville. Watson, a fantastic player against Maguire, who's had a sensational year, and little Francis, coming from Western Australia, has made all the difference to this Collingwood side. Again, he's against the real speedster too in Darren Buick, so that'll be a great clash in the following division.
And both coaches have elected to have a taller and a smaller medium-sized player on their bench, with Turner and Starcevich for Collingwood, Chris Danaher and Somerville for Essendon.
So we've looked at the teams. We're about to look at the parachuters who are about to land Bill Kenny and David Bolter as part of the pre-match entertainment. David Bolter, who was the first to go tandem at night, and that's Bill Kenny, who has jumped from 32,000 feet. Andrew Harris, the son of George Harris, the former president of the Carlton Football Club, was flying the helicopter, piloting it, and here's David Bolter coming in. Bill Kenny's already landed, and David's about to get one of the great sights in Australian sport when he lands on the Melbourne Cricket Ground on grand final day. Pretty tricky conditions for them today. A real spring breeze blowing here at the cricket ground as David makes his way down. He's a real daredevil, and I've worked with him as a cameraman in the past. And there's the view from the chopper. So we're almost getting a bird's eye view. X marks the spot. Let's see how close he gets, and he's not far out. Well done. Spot on. David Bolter, who really made a hit here on grand final day. Well, there's a fantastic competition going on today throughout Seven Sport. You get the opportunity to pick the mark of the year. It's the Ford Seven Sport mark of the year. Let's take a look at the 5 big ones for 1990.
Centres the ball. Ablett.
Mark 1, Gary Ablett, Geelong. Mark 2, Troy Bugle, West Coast Eagles. Mark 3, Nicky Winmar, St Kilda. Mark 4, Darren Mullane, Collingwood. Mark 5, Michael Mitchell, Richmond.
What a mark, Michael Mitchell! So all you have to do is to ring these numbers to register your vote. The important thing here, ring 00, not 000. They're the emergency numbers. So Ablett is 00 555 811. You can see Ugle 222, Winmar 333, Mullane 444, Mitchell 555, and the winner today will receive a Ford Laser, a GL hatch, and the winning player as well. People still coming into the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and for that Ford competition, you